Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your favorite show, and that is Men. We are lucky tonight because we have a man in a check jacket who has not been around for some time, but he has shown up. Colin, good to have you back.
With a bow tie.
With a bow tie.
Peter, it's good to be. Don't hate on the bow tie.
No, it's a lovely
That's
show.
what you guys are
You
wearing
should ask
19
him what the bow tie has eaten this time when he has been.
Well, clearly a lot.
The bow tie must have a story.
Good to have you back, my
It
brother.
is good to be back. It is good.
Now, tonight is a different show. We are going to talk about abortion and if it should be legalized. Now, to put this whole conversation into context, Uganda is one of the countries which has refused to legalize abortion based on very many moral grounds and a number of things. There are some countries like the US in which actually the whole abortion debate is being used to shape the direction in which the elections even can go. Now, we have our resident legal expert, Isaac Teko. Good to have you back, my brother.
Resident lawbreaker.
Yes. He breaks down the law.
I like that. I break down the law.
Now,
I don't break the law itself.
Yes, you break it down. Now, Isaac, abortion is illegal in Uganda.
You want to ask me, is abortion illegal, or you want to tell me abortion is illegal?
It is illegal currently,
No,
as per the
confused.
status. You don't know which
This
is
what
which.
you meant by when you say it's a different show.
And by the way, council wants to get you in a corner.
And
Why
then
don't you ask him whether it is legal or illegal?
Okay.
Are you asking for yourself or for someone? Because we know you have, eh?
No, I know. Trust me. Is abortion illegal in Uganda?
Yes, Peter, abortion is illegal. The Constitution, Article 22, subsection 2, provides clearly that no person has the right to terminate the life of an unborn baby or a fetus. And it says, except if authorized by law. And it leaves it there. That means it is illegal and legal afterwards.
Is it illegal, like the seatbelt illegal, the Kavera ban illegal, or like the illegal?
Like the
Don't
murder,
you can
rape,
abort-
murder, rape illegal.
Yeah, you can
is it?
abort if the law allows you that opportunity.
But no, Isaac, that's a very interesting thing because picking up from what there seems to be a bit of confusion, especially on the younger people. Now, a case in point: a lady gets raped. Okay, she's attacked, she's raped, she conceives. If she doesn't want to keep that pregnancy, how does she go about it?
Not wanting to keep the pregnancy because of her own choice or the circumstances under which the conception was
Because
brought.
of the circumstances under which she was.
Under the Ugandan law, there are exceptions. Because Uganda is a signatory to some international covenants, for example, the International Covenant on Political, Economic and Cultural Rights, which grants women the opportunity and the right to enjoy perfect physical and mental health. Now, if the rape has wrecked the lady to such an extent that she cannot live within herself, or she has been stigmatized, or people think that the baby will become a social misfit, in that circumstance, she can acquire an abortion legally.
All right, that's heavy
Of course,
stuff.
Uganda is a signatory to those international covenants.
Yes.
And that international covenant has been brought into the African context under the African Charter of Human and People's Rights. There's also a covenant, a protocol which allows for exceptions to abortion where there is sexual assault, where there is rape, and where the life of the mother is endangered.
So, like, do you have somewhere you apply? Or you just
You want to apply for someone?
I mean, I'm just asking. People are
Asking
watching,
for a
they have
friend.
the same
Of course,
question.
when the lady in question is in a hospital wanting to procure the abortion, the doctors, the counselors, and all those people who will be providing the service have to take down the history. How was this baby conceived? They will take down the woman's vitals to see whether or not her mental and physical well-being is affected by the pregnancy which is now developing. And then they will make an informed decision. And then they will prescribe for her a safe
solution.
abortion.
Okay. Now, Colin, abortion is a very sticky issue. There are a lot of people who on moral grounds say no, it's not right. Then other people say no, it should be your choice. What do you think, if I may ask?
But does he know what moral is?
That's a good question.
I mean, he's not looking back.
I was joking.
Peter,
Yeah.
anyway.
And I'm not putting you on the spotlight.
Of course, you're putting me on the spot, but
Yeah,
it's fine.
alright.
I think that this is. I think it's for times like this that we actually started this show.
Yeah.
So I. Here, I'm going to sort of explain it in sort of waves. One, there is the choice that we have as individuals. The enjoyment of the rights that we have as individuals can only go as far as those rights do not infringe on my neighbor enjoying their full rights. And so if my rights start infringing on his rights, then we have a problem. That's how society is governed. Society is governed by sort of a social contract where we agree to live peaceably. The thing about abortion that I find that makes it contentious is that in many cases, so in cases of rape, in cases of defilement, and I mean rape is inexcusable, but what's even more deplorable is, you know, cases of defilement that then result into pregnancy, that it is clear that this person didn't have a choice. They are not of sound mind. But you still want them to live the rest of their life with the consequences of these actions. Now, knowing that, I sort of gravitate with, if as a society you let this in, what else are you going to let it in? What are you going to let in? If it becomes like a gateway sort of action, what else are you going to allow? But I think that in my heart of heart, it boils down to, it's something that men have never had to struggle with.
Yeah.
Yes, as a brother, you struggle. As a father, you die 1,000 times of shame. But shame has never taken off your underpants. It's never fed you, you know. So it's something you've never, so you can't possibly imagine the choice of straddling someone with a consequence for the rest of their life in a moment of selfish need. And based on that very principle, I think that anyone who has a choice over their body should choose what they want to do with it. Because when people want to pierce their ears, no one says anything. You want to get a ring, no one says anything. You want to get a tattoo. But when someone wants to give you something that's permanent, everyone's like, hey,
But
Guma, stay.
Colin,
The church says forgive them,
no, but
you'll
Colin,
move on.
but on that point, you've talked about making a choice, but now it's not just about you as the individual. There is another being. So
Peter,
you are
Peter.
making a choice, not on your behalf only, but on behalf of
Peter,
another
Peter,
being
Peter, it
who
is-
has no right to say anything.
So the laws of nature, when we are growing bananas, the banana sucker is supposed to have 3 little seedlings. If they are more than that, you cut them off, such that they don't drain the mother plant. It is the way of life that the seed cannot kill the plant. And I know it's a bit abstract and it's a bit callous and it's a bit heartless, but if you think about it, the death of a mother, the permanent unwellness, the mental issue, and the issues that arise from these issues cannot then be put, of a full-grown human being who's living and contributing to the planet, cannot be put behind the issues of someone who's not yet here, who's not yet breathing the oxygen, who's not yet in society.
Okay.
And there is a bit of a dark side to that, but it is also the law of how we live.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get back to you. Chris, I know this is also a very sticky one for you, and you had kept saying you'd not have minded sitting out of this one. But from your perspective, should abortion be legalized, or should it be legalized within boundaries?
So, I think when Isaac was when we started the show today, and actually you did mention it, that in a country like the US, this is a very political discussion. If you're Republican, you are against
You're pro-life.
abortion, you're pro-life. If you are Democrat, you are
Pro-choice.
pro-choice and pro-abortion. And sometimes things like this are politicized until they come close to you, until it comes home, until it's thugs who broke into the house and raped your mom or raped your sister, until it's stuff like that, then it becomes more real, and you begin to weigh on. It's no longer a political debate, it's life we are talking about here. So I don't take this lightly at all, and I don't want to come across as someone who comes down with a hammer and bangs it like a judge with a gravel,
Like Thor with a hammer.
I'm not coming at it this way. I just want to approach it from two angles. I know that there are cases where some people have been unfortunately raped or abused and they become pregnant. And so usually that's the angle that's taken by people who are pro-abortion, to make a sort of like an emotional heartstring sort of argument to support abortion. But I also know many more people who fell pregnant not because of rape, a fling, a moment of pleasure, and that's the majority.
Or forgetting to take the morning after.
Or whatever. So it's like there's more people who have
Expired
conceived
post-dinner.
pregnancies out of pleasure, and it's not necessarily rape, who have an afterthought and say, I don't know whether I want this baby. There are people who have gotten pregnant, they were in a relationship that was stable. 3 months in, they don't like the fact that the guy is not paying attention to them anymore and want to terminate the child. I also know a number of people...
Is it a child at that stage?
Yes, it is. I also know a number of people, because I engage with people from a church perspective, because I'm involved in church leadership. I also know so many people who come broken, and sometimes it's years long after that abortion, and this guilt and condemnation is just not going away because they terminated a child, a life. Because while you are doing it, it's very easy to debase that life to it's just a fetus, it has no name, and things like that, which is not different from what was happening in the genocide with our neighbors, when one people were calling another people cockroaches. And once you debase a human person, a human being, to a thing, then it's easy to kill them. You call them cockroaches, it's easy to kill them. You call Jews a certain funny name, and you're Hitler and the Germans, it's easy to kill them. Once you debase people, it justifies murder. It justifies the taking away of life, or taking life into your own hands. So I think that in principle, one of the things that is critical for us to think about, whatever the circumstances there are, is to think about, when does life start? Does life start when we are conceived, or does life start when we are born? Mm-hmm. Right? Because from conception to round about when we are maybe 5 years old, we can't defend ourselves. We are depending on another
To do that for
to
us.
give us life, to protect us. And so when we're having these conversations about abortion, to do it or not to do it, and that kind of thing, I think we need to come to that point of when does life start? And when did we as human beings get to a point where we can even start discussing whether I should take your life or I shouldn't?
We'll get right back to you as soon as we get into this break. However, that is all said and good in a perfect moral world.
Yeah.
The reality,
Religious, philosophical manner.
yes, the reality is,
I'm happy
and-
to debate.
yes, and these
I'm
young
happy to
guys
debate.
are the ones who are doing it. So, should we provide a safe platform for it to happen? Because it's going to happen, whether we like it or not. That and more will be after the break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We're here at the Naguru Skies Hotel talking about a very sticky subject, and that is whether abortion should be legalized or not. Now, Chris painted a very rosy picture for us. Okay.
Rosie,
Yes,
Did
in
you
an
say
ideal
rosy?
world. In an ideal world.
did you say ideal world?
Yes. But these guys, and let's hear
I
from
told you we should
Facebook.
depose him as the host, but because
Peter,
he has always
there is
said
no- Peter, there is-
No, no,
there's-
no,
there's
no, I'll
nothing-
tell you where I'm
now
coming
There's
from.
nothing
I'll t-
rosy
No, I'll tell you where I'm coming
about life and death.
from. No, I'll tell you where
There's
I'm coming
nothing rosy
But in
about it.
reality,
Because, yes,
And in reality, there's nothing rosy about life and
I
death.
agree. I agree. However, the reality is unsafe abortions are taking place. And those unsafe abortions are going to continue taking place. And
Actually, the latest figures shows 1,400 people
Yes.
every day die from
unsafe abortions.
Like
So-
that's globally or in Uganda?
in Uganda.
Okay.
And the number is growing. So should we just say no, this is not happening?
Do you know how many are
dying?
dying from border?
Faisal, share your thoughts.
What about?
No. I mean, because
You
do
have
you
to be- you
think
have to be
we
careful
should say, look, let's present a safe avenue for this to happen? Or do we just say we are banning it and continue banning it, and yet it's still happening, and more people are dying from it every day?
I mean, I don't know, Chris. Aren't you going to just kick me off this chair?
Hey man,
The
say
fact
your
that
piece.
We share the same chair but different ideas.
Say your piece, man.
I mean, you have to really look at it from as I don't even know
A realistic point of view.
exactly, because we've been. I'm not going to say I have, but we have been. Me and some people I know have been in compromising situations whereby someone's pregnant, and you know you're talking about you're killing a child and all that. But man, if the babe's father finds out,
she's
more
dead.
people are going to die. Like
More real people.
who are breathing.
Tax paying, OTT, all that.
Exactly. So here is the situation. There's a friend of mine. Yeah, we were at campus and she just had. It was misfortunate. Yeah, so she gets pregnant and she's debating: should I or should I not? Should I or should I not? Should I or should I not? And I mean, people know her, and they're like, you know what? We know you. We know your family. We know this guy. This guy is a deadbeat guy. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to take care of you, or your child, or anything. Yeah. So what happens? The girl braves on. She goes on. She's like, you know what? I don't care. I'll just go on and do this. I'm not the abortion kind of person and all that. Yeah. So she goes on. Luckily, the pregnancy, the delivery, childbirth was okay. She gave birth to triplets. What? Yeah. So I mean, the moment you feel like in your head, I have now cornered God, He will just turn the tables and be like, what were you saying? Yeah. The reason I'm bringing this story up is, I mean, if you want to give birth, you can give birth, but there are consequences. And what you have to know is, when it comes to giving birth, you will never have it figured out. However many years you've planned, it's just
Zuckerberg planned the
Another-
pregnancy so well, the timing, the woman, and even the amount of money the kid has already.
but I mean that's why I said reality. I mean, how many Zuckerbergs are here?
You know.
You wouldn't be here if you were Zuckerberg. But what I'm saying is, yes, you can go on and leave the whole abortion thing and go on and give birth, but all I'm just trying to say is giving birth is a whole different scenario. It's nothing compared to what we think
So
about
you're saying it from
at
the
that
point
point
of
in
view
time.
of consequence management.
Exactly, consequence management.
You brought
Because
a kid to the
before,
world.
before your parents would tell you, you know, if you have sex, you'll get AIDS. People are scared. But all of a sudden, it's not scary anymore. So now people flipped it. They're like, if you have sex, you get kids and all that. And you know,
I'll tell you, in line with what Faisal has said, and Isaac, I'd really like to hear from your perspective. The reality is, especially a lot of young people are actually more scared of getting pregnant
exactly.
than contracting STIs.
And
Which of course is a disturbing way of looking at things, because one of the harsh realities...
It's actually even women, even older women are scared of getting pregnant.
Yeah, and because the reality is, the moment you're having unprotected sex, a very likely outcome is a pregnancy. But that, again, that's in an ideal world. But the reality is these things are happening. So should it be legalized?
What's in an ideal world there? Of course,
When
if
we
you
all
have
know what we are
unprotected
supposed
sex,
to do, and we don't do
ideal,
it.
in the ideal world,
Yes.
you will get pregnant.
That's what I'm saying. So we all know we are not supposed to do it, and we don't do it. But
That's 'cause
So
some
what's
of
the
you guys have
probability
weak
of
pull out
conceiving
game.
is 1/28 or something? I mean, there are periods. That's
and let me tell you, and by the way, the scariest,
much less
the scariest thing.
I think there are 7 days. I don't know.
Uganda's
But
women are some
you
of the
see-
most fertile in the world. So
But the scariest,
population increase is 3.4.
the scariest thing about
1 woman, 7
getting
kids.
pregnant is having a 90s parent, because people don't just wake up, they're pregnant and like, shit, I have to get an abortion.
But I
No,
think you were asking about
it's
the
because
real world. You know,
so you're like,
producing a kid is a big project. It's a lifelong project. And in the ideal world, as you keep saying, there should be a father, a mother, and both of them should be loving this kid and willing to provide for it so that it doesn't become a social misfit.
exactly. So
I
you
think
would
Proverbs or some part in the Bible, they say a kid who is bad brings shame to the father's name or something like that. So it's a family project. So the circumstances under which you want to bring your kid should be material. So once you're pregnant, you start asking yourself, will I be proud to have this kid under this
circumstances.
either stigmatizing or socially?
guys, let me tell you something that
You don't want to produce a kid for somebody else. There are people who produce kids and take
You
to
know-
their mothers.
you know, we
so
can-
the kids become grandkids, and they grow up
we
as.
can argue this thing until the cows come home. But I'll tell you that to
But
every
Chris, first let's agree, is it a project which requires planning? You're a Bible man, you know that everything that you're going to do, whether building a house or what, you must have a plan.
not even just
And it's not
waking
that
up
I'm
to go
saying
through
people
your
should
day.
abort
so
easily.
plan one
But
should be
once
that you
you are
should not
in
be
that
having sex unless you're ready to
Okay,
have a
that's
baby.
now
We wish
But-
an ideal world.
Exactly.
An ideal world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my point. So since
I'm
plan
listening
one
to
hasn't
Chris,
worked,
I'm sure.
all right.
That Collins cannot believe.
Yeah, but
it's okay.
since plan one, by the way, I can tell you that even in marriages, there are conversations about abortions.
Yes.
I'm told
Even
you
in
the-
marriages.
Yeah.
The
Okay?
statistics
Wait,
show that
I
in
have-
happy, in
Yeah,
happy
I have
marriages.
talked to some people who are cut to the heart because they were forced to abort, and they were in. So listen. This thing, listen,
Yes.
friends. You know, you keep on projecting me as someone who's not in touch with
Who's out
reality.
of touch. Not only that, but
But,
out of
but
touch.
I can tell you there is a reality that I face every week of real people who are living real lives and deal with these real challenges. It's not a small matter to take life in your hands. That I can tell you. We can argue here, we can speak all the English we want, we can use accents from America or wherever it is, but I'll tell you, when it comes down to it, a human being taking another life is a serious thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a place you can't come back from.
Yes. And you're going to live with that. You know, there are certain things which you do.
But do you remember some Israel kings
Let me
in
finish.
wars, they would ask one of their
Let me
guards
finish.
to kill them?
Yeah, whatever. Even
Because
some kings in
in-
Uganda
in-
have
in-
done that.
in some
But
circumstances,
don't derail me.
has-
Let
I mean,
me just say.
better than
Let me just say what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Shaka
here's the
Zulu-
thing. When it comes to a matter, when it comes to a matter of life and death, I think there is something that's very sacred about life. On one hand, someone may want to dump their child or kill them. Call it abortion. On another hand, there are people who are pleading on their knees. They go to God, they
want
go
to
to
get
doctors,
pregnant.
they want to get pregnant and are paying millions and have not had an opportunity. There's something amazingly sacred about life.
Actually, I think that there's
So-
something disbalanced about this God.
No, so you could say that, and I don't know about that. but-
Actually, Peter was
but what I'm
proposing
saying-
that
No,
there
no, no.
should be a market
Isaac,
for
let me just
people
say-
who are willing to abort
Yeah.
and those willing to take kids.
because I can tell you that.
I feel like
Then they
abortion
would-
clinics should just be next to adoption clinics.
So because I
It-
tell you,
it would just make
there
so
are
much
so many
sense.
people who would say, look, if you can just give us that child,
Yeah.
we will look after them. They are desperate to hold a baby, any baby, and they have none. But also, I want us to consider a certain part of this abortion conversation that has not yet come to the table. And here's the conversation. When you're a parent and your child falls pregnant,
They fall or become. Okay.
I think they fall down, their legs open, and the pregnancy.
Yeah,
Moving on.
but my point is,
Sometimes they
why
fall
do you
down.
think your child is hard pressed to consider abortion?
Because of the parents.
Because you hear a young Pfizer saying there are 3 people who are going to die here.
the
Alright?
mom, the
But
daughter
why is-
who's
but-
pregnant,
yeah,
and the
but-
person
but why is
responsible
that
for making
happening?
you pregnant.
Is
Has
because
already
as a
taken it.
parent, you feel like this is a shame that's coming to your name. So
you're
one of the
doing
things
damage
you need-
control
Yes,
for
you're doing
yourself.
damage control for yourself, for your own selfish
Selfish,
interest.
yeah.
And one of the things I really want us to consider and say, look, is it possible that we can graciously deal with our children when they make mistakes like those, so that you do not complicate a matter? Because now think about the 1,000 something abortions, and probably of kids who have had an unsafe abortion, not because, and in many cases, it's not because they did not want to have that baby, it's because they cannot face their parents.
But then you also know how many kids have not gotten involved in sex because they know if
the
anything ever
fear,
happens.
yeah.
Exactly. But Peter, I'm just saying, look, if anything ever happened, my dad will kill me. But now the thing has happened, right? And I think this is a conversation we also need to have.
Chris,
Because
Chris,
the reality is this.
I want to just sort of ask you
Yeah.
something about. You take a very eventualistic approach. I feel like you're doing a very.
I like the word eventualistic.
No, because when you say it has happened, it has happened. It's very easy to say that when you're falling pregnant. But all the time when you are out there riding the thing, you are not saying
Of course.
so. So having us. So you see, life is about a series of choices. Yes. You keep the child, you deal with the mental torture and the financial strain for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Yes?
And plan.
Because you know
Yes, of course.
Pfizer
No,
is
it's kind of planned.
what they
When
call it?
you're, what
A
did you call
broken
it?
nigger.
Riding what?
When you're riding
That's a
the-
plan, right
when you're,
there.
when you're
No,
riding,
that was not the planned outcome.
No, but you're riding.
you're riding.
Yeah,
You
but I'm
consciously
riding
ride.
to ride, to finish the ride.
But
Not to
and I think that those circumstances are quite significantly different from people who have little choice, people whose minds are breaking at the seams because of the circumstances in which this situation happened. I think that you have to be able to have a conversation where you say, is this thing going to break me? is it going to break this girl, this child?
That is
Is
the
this-
social impact.
You,
Which thing?
you having this
The
child,
pregnancy,
this
yeah.
pregnancy, is it going to diametrically alter
So,
your life?
Colin, can I tell you?
Now,
can I
before
tell
he gets back to that, we do need to go into a break.
I'll get back to you. on
Yes. Now, we're here at the Naguru Skies Hotel talking about the sticky subject of abortion, which Chris, of course, is very vehemently protecting. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. In case you've just joined us, you're right in time for the last part of the show in which we are talking about abortion here at the Naguru Skies Hotel. Chris.
So Peter, thanks. Colin, so here's the challenge that I have with people who, on the one hand, say there can be so many unfortunate circumstances that cause pregnancies, and therefore, because you cannot deal with the consequences of these unfortunate circumstances, the only option you have is to abort.
I don't know why you're mocking me in an accent.
Whatever.
It's
But
very terrible.
here's the thing. I don't know if you realize that that is really trying to play God. Here's what we don't know. We do not know whether if the girl carries the pregnancy
To term.
to term, whether that child is going to grow up and be well provided for and is not going to have any of the consequences we are imagining they're going to have. We do
One.
not know.
Yes.
We also don't know whether actually, when they are born, that child is born, they're going to have the most miserable life. We do not know whether a child who is born to parents who are married, living together and are happy, is going to have a miserable life or a happy one.
Yes.
Because we know people who start life, you got money, everything is going well, something unfortunate happens, and it goes down the drain.
Yes.
Or very broke guys who actually start life in a terrible place and have a good ending.
Yes.
We do not know because we are not God. Now
But-
here's the challenge we have. The challenge we have is we are deciding that the way I see this situation, we need to terminate this life because it's looking like it's going to be unfortunate. And I think that that's playing God. And we need to be careful about that. Now let me tell you what.
Wait, I just want to
This
say
guy
something.
was
what.
campaigning.
I want to say that you're wrong classically because
I know, because that means every day I'm playing.
no, first wait. I want to say that you're
Also,
wrong.
you are about
Wait.
constant.
I want to say because of what he's doing at night
Oh, okay.
with himself. But that's not the issue. But I want to say you're wrong because of one thing. We don't know the outcome of the child. But today, here, right now, sitting with this strip, these are the things I know. I have no job. I am in school. I am being supported by my
I've
parents.
been raped.
I know.
I'm a
have been
victim of
raped.
sexual
Yes.
assault.
Even if you say we are not, also you can use the rape, but then
And
you also,
sometimes it's not even
but
rape.
also,
You've
Faizo,
been riding with Colin.
you've been riding. Faizo doesn't have money. You know, because you're the one who bought supper that he ate yesterday. In that moment, you're not playing God. You're being realistic about your condition and your circumstances.
And here's where you're
Because you know that my
diametrically
father-
wrong,
my-
sir. Just leave because no.
But I think,
This is-
Peter, you have to come in here and
It's
divide
business.
abortion in the various segments that it happens. There is accidental pregnancy. There is negligent pregnancies. And then there are pregnancies that come out of situations of illegality, like rape and what. So if you consider abortion as a general thing, you will never have. Because the Christian will tell you a different thing, the realist will tell you a different thing, the lawyer will tell you a different thing. So all these things
And
have
in that way, he
peculiar
says
ways
the Christian is
of
not
settling.
realist.
This guy is actually realist. He's a positivist. Now we're here. A girl walks here. Oh, I've been raped.
I
I'm
wish we
still
had
at
some
school.
ladies on this show. It would have
I'm
helped
still
a
at
lot.
school or not. What will you advise her? Okay, you will give a different set of advice. He will give, and this one will just.
I know the lady would have told you she has
So
control
the
over her
point
body.
is, I think
and
the
she-
purpose of this show was
Some may say.
whether or not abortion can be taken as a choice. So that, because there are all these laws that have developed in this modern world that grants women rights. And the right against discrimination of women against all sorts of issues, includes the right to reproductive and sexual
So
health.
Isaac, the challenge
Now,
you
if
have,
you are meeting that
the
woman
challenge
who
you
lives
have.
in Bokoto Flats or
Yeah.
Nigeria and she says, I'm pro-choice, I want to make my mind up to what I will be. I don't want to have this pregnancy. You should provide for that. If you are not
I honestly think that
I feel like I feel like he has opened my brain.
so Isaac, Isaac, the
now,
challenge,
if you go to
the
a
challenge-
priest's daughter or a reverend's daughter or a pastor's daughter, it will be a totally different
so Isaac,
conversation.
the challenge,
But the law in Uganda,
Yeah.
the penal code, it criminalizes abortion. The person procuring, the woman herself aborting, that one is 7
And the
years.
service
The
provider.
person doing it, the medical whatever, is 14 years. The person selling the medicine or the concoctions or the noxious substances, 3 years. So the law has provided
And I
that
am
general-
sure if it's men who used to get pregnant, abortion would be legal.
it would be so.
I am
Yeah.
very
And
sure it
so
would be
the
legal.
reason is
Because he
what
brought,
legal
he
environment
brought
should-
another angle I completely had never seen before. Most of the laws have been designed to oppress a specific side of life.
Okay,
Which is
I wouldn't
the
call it
women.
oppression.
Yes.
You see,
Peter,
I'll tell you.
if men,
Because it's
if
her
it was
body.
men,
Why
who are
is it what you
going
do
to
with
me,
her body?
I assure you,
That I would really go.
No,
Very legal.
just be like, I
Man,
don't
no,
want to
like
do
I want
this
to.
because
I want
Peter,
this out.
No, Collins, if men were getting pregnant, the earth would be depopulated because we don't like pain.
No.
There will be no pregnancies at all.
You remember that time? You remember, there's a prehistorical time of when men didn't want you give birth to a child. It's a daughter. The guy is like, you know what? Bury this kid. They didn't even know how to abort, but that was abortion back then. They wait for you, deliver, they
That
bury
is
the kid
murder
there.
now.
and
That's
then.
murder. Because once the
Exactly.
kid is out,
Now that's
it's
what I'm saying.
never
Before
once-
even abortion came out.
I'll tell you what.
28 weeks according to the
I
law.
think
like,
we
as I
must
mentioned,
find-
this
we
is
must
a
find
very,
courage.
very, very sticky subject. I believe in my heart of hearts. I agree with you. Nobody should play God. And in an ideal situation, you should not even get there. But what I'm saying is, not everybody has the moral fiber to think that way, and there is a problem. So, do we say, how do we stem the problem? There are a lot of young ladies who are dying because they are procuring unsafe abortion. Unfortunately, we have the legislation in place, but we don't have the capacity to follow up with that to ensure
offer a real solution.
Yes, that this is in place. There's so many doctors who are doing it, and that's why a lot of these people are dying. There are very many pharmacists who are selling medication, and they're still doing it. So how do we stem that? Because I also believe even things like drugs, if you legalize them, you will stop people from consuming them. Because the moment you can provide a safe environment for this to happen, then we can now
Go back to things that are causing
it and stem
Yeah,
it.
so a solution-oriented,
And so
Yes,
for
approach.
actually, for me, I think the solution,
not a fundamentalist Christian.
you call it whatever name, I'm used to this. I've
The
been
word
here so long.
fundamentalist, I'm using it.
I am a hardcore. But listen, I think that the conversation needs to even be taken at a higher level. I think that it's important for us not to be heavy-handed and legalistic about what happens when our teenage child finds themselves pregnant. I think that that's really more the conversation that needs to happen.
I would have loved to see him as a law lecturer teaching a legal class.
I really
and then he
think
has to
that
teach them what the law provides as well as what God provides.
I know.
thankfully,
Then the class would flourish.
I'm sure
because
there are some Christian lawyers, and I wish people like Dr. Dan Ruhweza and other Christian lawyers were here, because I'm sure they would give you an answer. Unfortunately, I'm not a legal mind and I'm not a legal professor, but I will tell you that I think that the
Colin said you
conversation, I think that the conversation needs to go to a higher level. And the higher level should be, can we provide an environment which, when a pregnancy happens, we gather around it in a different way? Because the thing we are not talking about right now is what really causes
But you know, these
abortion.
things happen in darkness.
No,
How
listen,
can we go and
Isaac,
gather around
what
it in
really,
darkness?
what really causes an
The
abortion?
time we know is when the thing is already
but
bulging.
what really
and
causes,
by that time,
Chris,
the serious
what really
Chris.
causes an abortion is you, Isaac Teko,
What is it
not
called?
wanting your daughter to
Wait.
be seen pregnant.
Oh, no.
What is
having
it called in
posterior
Christianity
reproduction.
when you have
No,
child,
but not really.
a child
I'll
before
tell
getting
you what,
married?
I'll not say that, because
No,
as it
born out
is,
of wedlock.
Yes. I mean,
Peter,
even
if
the
your
Bible
daughter
looks
showed up
at it
pregnant,
in a bad way.
Pause.
what would you do with it?
But why are you wishing Peter that?
I know.
Very innocent. You should have pointed it
It's a real
out.
one. So if it happened, what would you
I'll
do?
tell you what. I do not know because I'm not in that situation. I'm being very
And that's
frank
my
about it.
point.
However, one of the things that I do know I would not want her to do is to go and try and get an what do you call it?
Exacerbating the problem by
Yes.
compounding it.
Yes, that.
Very complex. That's very complicated English.
If I understood it, it's not that
But
complicated.
the point I'm trying to say, guys, and I want to put
It's
this,
like boiling
I
hot
want to
pepper.
put it, yes.
The thing is already hot, then
I
you say
want,
let's heat
yes.
this pepper.
So I want exactly. So what we should put on the table right now is this. What we should put on the table is, if you're a parent and your child shows up pregnant, I think we need to consider
No matter
how
the
to
circumstances.
exactly. No matter what the circumstances are, for us to gather around this child, because
And
you're going to
praise them.
find that most of the time, the abortion is not caused because the girl wants to abort. The abortion is not even caused because it's legal or illegal. It's because of the
social
fear
tension.
of the fury of the parent. Why? Because they are protecting
Not
their
only the
name.
parents,
and
not only
how
the
they look
parents,
at
not only the
Be very
parents.
careful
But
with
we
that
also have to
statement.
assure
Be very careful with that statement
Tell me
because
about
what
it.
you're simply saying is,
It's
I
because
can
of
go
the
get
parents.
pregnant. I know I'll come. My entire family will jubilate around me. What
Peter,
Isaac
Peter,
said,
what?
take care of the child.
Peter,
We've got
is
Peter,
there
very
no-
do you
many-
honestly think that
we've
that's
got
what
very
I'm
many-
saying?
It's very easy for it to
No,
be
but
understood
do you
that
think that
way.
that's what I'm saying?
It's very easy for
By
it to be
the way,
understood
and
that
most
way.
people who don't
and
understand
most
what
of the
I'm saying.
parents are like that
I want
as
to
a
question
religious
something about
parents.
Chris's approach. So the compassion approach, the idea that we can come around a child of the community, a child of our family, a child who we trained well, who we sent to school, who we fed, who we paid for
We still
everything.
have hope in.
But in the darkness of the night, they are out there riding the D, losing focus. I know that we must show them compassion, but even a mercy killing is a sign of compassion.
But you see,
Faisal, your parting shots.
oh my God,
Yeah.
I'll call us.
Well,
Let Chris
Yo,
compose himself.
I like the way he just said it's because of the parents and what, but it's because of mostly the religious parents who, for them in church, they tell them if your kid gets a kid before you're married, it's a wrap. Yeah. Then the baby is pregnant, like, very, very quickly. We get a wedding, bichi introduction and all that. All these things are coming from what he's not talking about. You try to make it look like parents are evil. Parents are not evil. Parents also have things they believe in that make them act the way they are acting. One of those things, one of the core things, is actually religion. Religion and tradition. How are the home people going to look at me, my father, my grandma? Also at church, how is it going to look like? I show up with my daughter, she's not married, she has a kid, husband, zero.
Yeah.
So what comes to the mind of the child? This is why when we were talking about this topic, the first thing I did was approach it towards responsibility. If you're willing to handle the responsibility, it's all right, give birth. If you feel like you know what, you don't want to play syndicate with your life, it's up to you.
Okay.
It's your body.
Isaac, your parting shots in 1 minute.
Abortion is a very, very, very big topic. It cannot be discussed exhaustively. All its different permutations in one show. So maybe you have to call
Some ladies.
another pastor, a university lecturer, a Hindu, a Muslim, because abortion happens across all cultures, across all religions, across all sorts of
All peoples.
levels of people. The rich, the poor, the parented, those who
Orphans,
with no
yeah.
orphans, street kids. So it's important that we look at what we can do with the situation that we have at hand. We have a legal regime that criminalizes abortion. The procuring of abortion, the assisting and abetting of abortion is illegal. Thank God. Even socially, we would like to have kids, but we should also compare it or juxtapose it against the responsibility that parenthood is. If you are going to parent when you don't want to be a parent, then there is a social misgiving. You're starting
What
at
kind
a
of
wrong
child are you
feet.
raising anyway?
Yes. So if there is a mechanism of sorting out the causes at an early stage, so let it be. If there is a way of working with the community, the parents, pastors, counselors, to nip it off the bud, but at least what I can say as a lawyer is In Uganda, it is criminalized, but since Uganda is part of a greater world where globalization has brought one legal framework in the world, the rights that people are assuming these days grant them excess opportunities. And the woman under sexual and reproductive rights have full rights to determine when they want to have a baby, what type of baby, and who the father will be. Some do IVF, they get a donor, they don't even want to know the father. So it's their choice. Okay. So I would say I'm supporting Chris that abortion is innately bad, but since we are living in a real world where we have a problem, then we have to find mechanisms of sorting this problem. So it's a win-lose, win-win situation.
Colin, your thoughts as we wrap up?
I mean, I just want to close on the very real fact that these decisions are not easy. It's not easy to sit here and look at you and say to you, this is what you should do. But it's also not easy for you to sit on a problem and know that for the rest of your life, this is going to be a reality you're going to live. Every morning, you're going to be reminded of this mistake. Every day you struggle. Our careers are shattered, families are destroyed because of something like this. But I want to say this, that if by any chance you ever find yourself in a moment where you have no options, where you have no choices, take heart, be strong. Do what you must do. Don't ever be held back by social norms, religion, social strictures, people's expectations. Take care of you. You are number one. The rest we can figure out. But always take care of what you need to take care of. And that's it.
Yes, sir. Chris, your part.
We have a scenario where on one hand, people say, I raise my child, I invest in them, I expect the best in them, don't mess that up. On the other hand, a child comes through pregnant, and because we do not want to be shamed, I've seen scenarios where even parents have forced abortions of their children. And the thing is, we need to ask ourselves, what's the cost? The shame or the life? Faisal in this show talked about a friend who carried on with a pregnancy and got triplets. We do not know if those triplets are going to be the next best doctors in this country, best lawyers, next president, next engineer. We do not know. We can't play God. If misfortune happens to you, you can turn it around. Everything works together for the good. And if you keep hope alive and keep looking in the future and you know that only God turns things around, good can come out of bad. Don't play God. Save that life. Thank you.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from the men. It's been a sticky one, and we're going to have to take this up with women, I believe. Have a good night.